Hello, everybody. Welcome to Witches Movie Coven. We are so excited for this fabulous 80s flick tonight. We are going to be talking about Teen Witch, but first, let me introduce myself. Patty is off. Jason is off. They are flying around doing witchy things, so we will miss them. We send them love from the ether. They may pop in. They are witches. They may come in if they can. If not, then we will see them another time. I am one of your hosts. I am Richard Lale. Richard Lale is one name, not two. If I were just Richard, I would be a. That's right. If I am known as the Gentleman Psychic. And before we go too much further, I actually wanted to say, if you are curious, if you want to go to Scotland with me, now is the chance. There'll be a little QR code here. It is really important. I need a couple more people to sign up before too long. Otherwise, we will have to cancel the trip, and I don't want to do that. Anyway, that was me, Richard Lale, and now we have the lovely Heather Green.
Hi, everyone. I am Heather Green. I am the author of Lights, Camera, Witchcraft. It is a critical history of witches in American television and film. And it is witchy season, so this is the guide you need with you. As you see on my posts, if you follow me, I'm saying don't be caught dead without it during the witchy spooky season. Anyway, I'm also a journalist and I cover all things occult and witchcraft in the media. And I am also an editor at Llewellyn, and I get to work with many great occult and witchy authors on a daily basis and learn lots of wonderful things. Being an editor of books is almost like being in college all the time, learning lots of good stuff. So I love it. And that's who I am. And I'm here with my coven tonight. I love it.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Heather. And now we go to the incomparable, the fabulous Ms. Courtney Buckley.
That's me, Courtney Buckley. I'm Ghostbait on Scared and Alone, and I've decided I'm going to give myself another title. I am the resident Witches Movie Coven hater, because I feel like it's been a long time since I've actually liked a movie, so I'm ready to go.
You are not. You are so not.
As this very special guest, we have the lovely Tabitha. Welcome, Tabitha.
Hi, happy Wednesday, witches. I am Tabitha Meadows, a medium and psychic. I am coming to you straight out of the 80s and the comments section. Thank you for having me again tonight.
You are so welcome. And, you know, last week was quite a strange thing because we had a hurricane here in New Orleans, and things were kind of crazy. And then I watched this film, and then now last week feels like 10 years ago. And I guess we should talk a little bit about tonight's movie. We watched the 1980, I don't know what year, 87?
89.
89. We watched the 1989 Teen Witch. Witch? The Teen Witch. That's Witch. Yes, so I guess we should talk about a little bit about, if you haven't seen the film, I should give you an unbiased synopsis. So my unbiased synopsis is this. After the cancellation of the Bewitched television show, Darren Stevens divorced his lovely wife, Samantha, and then joined the Witless Protection Program. In this, he changed his name and, of course, the name of his daughter witch, Tabitha. She was changed. The only one that I remember is her name is Louise, because Louise was, of course, the wife of his boss. And he thought, why not? I'm going to just name my daughter Louise. No one will ever know. No one will ever know we're connected. Also named her Louise because Lousy was already taken. Fast forward beyond the end of Bewitched. It's a story about a young girl. Army of Darkness is next week. Sorry, I was reading, and I was distracted. And Richard Lale reads everything that he reads.
All right, Ron Burgundy.
So, anyway, it's a story about a young woman who is just 15, and you have to keep that in mind because she hasn't turned 16 yet. That's when all of her powers happen, allegedly. She's a girl of 15 who is in love with someone who is definitely, in every stretch of the imagination, a 16-year-old boy who is the captain of the football league, and in no way an adult male in his 20s. In no way at all. He's definitely 16. Anyway, she's the typical 80s geek. She's the typical 80s nerd. She doesn't wear glasses because she's not quite that geeky. She's a theater geek, and theater geeks don't always wear glasses. I know that for a fact. So she has this fantasy over the captain of the football team, the captain, and he is, of course, dating the cheerleader who becomes her nemesis, I guess, kind of. Anyway, she is run off the road on her bicycle, and she has a flat tire, and to get out of the rain, she goes into an occult shop, a psychic. And the psychic, of course, tells her, "You are a witch." And she believes her, of course, because she's a witch. And her powers are about to come at the age of 16. And then she goes back to school, and the one teacher that she absolutely loves, the one teacher that is so good to her, the theater teacher, finds this amulet. And she says, "Well, I think you ought to have it." And then when the psychic medium finds out that she has the amulet, she goes to the book. She finds out that, of course, both the psychic who runs, a $5 palm reading storefront out in the middle of nowhere, of course, is going to be either reincarnated or the actual witch from the Salem trials in the 1600s. Of course, it's all legitimately history, right? Anyway, so they find that they're witches.
Put this on me.
They find out that they're witches. And then all of the magic starts happening, like really bad 1980s raps in the middle of the street. Top this, top that, top this, top that, top this, top that. See my 80s dance? With her new witch powers that she has discovered, she gets everything she wants, and her life was so miserable. Boo-hoo, I'm a theater kid. Even though I am kind of popular, the popular girls kind of want me to meet their dates and meet their cousins and meet their friends, and nobody actually makes fun of me. My life is so hard because I don't have 80s hair and 80s fashion. I'm a little bit more conservative. And when everyone is wearing tulle, I'm wearing jean and I'm wearing denim. So boo-hoo, sad, sad. And then she finds her witch powers, and it happens that she does go to the dance, but she goes to the dance with the cheerleader's cousin, who is a pervert, by the way. And not only is he a pervert, by the way, he has the most obnoxious, entitled, disgusting POS I have ever seen on film, and that's saying something. Anyway, the cheerleader says, "Here, give them your keys to your car," to the captain of the football league, whom, of course, has now had a spell on her. She said, "I wish he would look at me." He looks at her. I wish he would walk over." And he's dancing with his girl, and everyone in the background is going like this, and the music is like this. So whatever. Anyway, he comes over, he leaves the girlfriend alone on the dance floor, and she, of course, doesn't mind at all. Accepting the fact, she says, "Okay, now the football guy, my cousin, is going to drive her home. Give him the keys." So they get in the car, and the first thing she sort of really discovers is, "I wish you would disappear and leave me alone." And he disappears and leaves her alone in the car. And then she gets home, and she casts a spell on the brother, and then she effectively ends the career of an awful teacher by making him undress in front of minors. And then he's caught, and then he gets with a voodoo doll ends up by going through a car wash because that's funny. Ha ha ha! It's the 80s. Another dance break, another song break. I want to be popular. Song break, dance break, jacket, dance break, fame. I don't want this life. I want everyone to love me because they love me. You can't take it back. Oh yeah, you can. I don't want this anymore. I want everything to go back. The guy still loves her at another dance. The end, roll credits, 80s music, upbeat 80s music. That's what I have in my unbiased film breakdown.
That was the most unbiased thing I think I've ever heard.
Yeah,
I think
very
so.
clear.
Very
was-
clear. I mean,
Yeah.
it was, maybe I should have been a little bit puff pass, but I was not, because I was only drinking tea. And
Wow.
you know, with that, I'm going to pass it right over to the lovely Heather Green. Heather Green, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about its history in the witch culture.
Right. So I'm going to give you the 5 things that you need to know about Teen Witch, because you know there are 5 things that you need to know about this movie that are fun.
Number 1, it's horrible. Number 2, it's horrible. No, I'm sorry. You don't know how I'm going to vote yet.
No. No.
Honey, I froze.
No. Oh, did we lose Tabitha?
There's a cat where Tabitha used to be.
Oh, there's a frog now.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Someone hexed her, and it wasn't me.
Her, and now she's a frog. A flashing frog.
I still see the screenshot behind her of the show.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, I guess Tabitha will come back at some point. So I'll keep doing my 5 things, and then we'll see when she appears. So the first thing, context. You know, I always love to do that. Then the concepts of this film and what they were trying to do, as well as some fiascos, because those are always fun. Then a couple cast members that we need to chat about. Then the makeover movie. Excuse me. We'll talk about that theme, and then witchcraft specifically. So first, context. This is the 80s, as everyone knows. As you can see, I've tried to establish that with my dress tonight. It is a time this is the Satanic Panic, the 80s. This is the very beginning of when Hollywood started to embrace witchcraft films. We weren't full on Satanic Panic in Hollywood yet in terms of the expressions within films. Those are beginning to happen 88, 89, and it builds into the early 90s. But the very first signs were in 87. This is obviously 89. So this is definitely one. So you're seeing the representation of witchcraft within the context of the Satanic Panic here. This is obviously not a horror film, so we don't have Satan involved, but we don't have a really positive look on what witchcraft is. And we'll get to that in a second. So that's what this is. Let's look at, let me talk about now the concept. What were they trying to do here? So there was a really popular movie in 85 called Teen Wolf. Okay. It starred Michael J. Keaton, and and I remember seeing it then, and I remember Michael. Yes, I'm sorry, not Keaton. Michael J. Fox. Sorry, Beetlejuice on the brain. It was popular. I remember seeing it then. And so this person who wrote this wanted to create a movie, was looking to create a script, and said, hey, let's do something like that. And so Teen Witch became a part of that. They wanted to kind of do that. They wanted to make this concept also. They said, well, let's make a movie where love is stronger than magic. And let's put that comment that the actual writer set aside, and we can discuss that later because we may have issues with that. But that was the concept. They were trying to make a Porky style movie. So this movie in the original concept was supposed to be an R-rated movie. If you've seen Porky's, you know what I'm talking about. That's an late 70s, early 80s. I don't remember the exact time, maybe 81 time, Porky's summer camp, R-rated teen movie. Okay. They were trying to do that, but that was rejected by the producers. We like the concept. We don't like that part of it. Hey, let's make a musical. Ta-da. And people were like, yes, let's turn Teen Witch into a musical. So that's how this came about. And they hired some musical people, they hired some dancers, and they turned it and spun it into this sort of pulled out most of the Porky stuff, most of that stuff, put in some music, put in those 3 rappers that appear, the dance stuff. They actually wanted Debbie Gibson for the main character. That fell through. It had a very, very low budget. I'm sorry, it had $2.5 million budget, which at the time was on the lower side. And although it's sort of a go-to film for Halloween, and a lot of witchy people like to watch it because it's campy and nostalgia, reminds you of the 80s, it still has only made like $28,000. I mean, it's like was a bomb. Okay, did not do well in the long run.
I can imagine why.
And there were a lot of fun fiascos that they talk about, and I can mention those later, but like they couldn't afford to pay all the extras during the dance scene. So if you're watching the dance scene, you see the number of people behind them changing because the extras started leaving because they wouldn't pay overtime. So in some scenes you see like lots and lots of people on the dance floor, and then other scenes you can tell there's like only like maybe like 10, and they're kind of spaced out. So it's kind of, there's a lot of little fiascos like that happen. But here it is, 1989. They got it out. This is their movie. Now let's talk about the cast, because the cast is kind of interesting, and really, I'll mention a few obvious ones. We already heard Dick Sargent's there. He's the dad. That's a nod to Bewitched, which obviously is one of the movie informants of this. So having him in there kind of cued. There's a lot of little, I wouldn't call them Easter eggs, but there's a lot of cues to other films in here that people would, in the 80s, would have noticed. And they would have noticed Dick Sargent and that nod to Teen Witch and having him there, because he obviously was part of Bewitched. You also have Rita Wilson, not a major character, not a major player, but people might know her because she is Tom Hanks' wife. She was all over in the 80s in a lot of Tom Hanks films. Still, even to this day, she was in Asteroid City. If you haven't seen Asteroid City, it's a fun movie to watch. It's a more recent one. You also, Robyn Lively, the main character. She was in Karate Kid, all of them. She was in a movie called Wildcats in the 80s. She was in a bunch of the movies in the 80s. She wasn't recognizable. She was only 15 when she made this movie, unlike a lot of teenagers in a lot of movies, as was said already by the Richard Lales thing, whatever that was, that a lot of the actors are, in fact, in their late teens and 20s. Most of them were. She was actually 15 when she did this film. So she was actually the age of the character, which is interesting. But she was in Ouija in 2014 and Someone Like You just recently that just came out. So she's still around, Robyn Lively, who plays Louise. But really the outstanding character here, the actress that we really need to talk about is Zelda Rubinstein. And I love her. And I don't usually make opinions during this segment, but I love her and I love watching her. She is, of course, best known for her role in Poltergeist as Tangina, the psychic, the medium, all that stuff. That is what she's best known for. She's done other things. She was in Little Witches, which we've done here. She was in 16 Candles. She was in Picket Fences. She apparently appeared on Mr. Belvedere. I don't remember that. She also was, her first role, this is funny, her first role was actually as a munchkin in Chevy Chase's movie Under the Rainbow, which is a movie about the filming of The Wizard of Oz. Not really a documentary. This is a Chevy Chase film. Let's be clear about that. But she was in all of these things. She passed away in 2010 after a heart attack. And she is obviously a psychic here. And again, just like having Dick Sargent in the movie, people in the 80s would have instantly, and even today, connected her to the supernatural, to the metaphysical, to something witchy or otherworldly easily. So that connection was the first, that was an easy nod right there. So that's the cast. Now let's talk about movie makeover films, because this is very much a movie makeover teen film where there's a dumpy girl who needs to do something to become beautiful, and becoming beautiful makes her popular and her life better. We have that in Greece. We have that, and this is the standard Pygmalion scenario. You have it. You of course. I always like to refer to not the Greek story, but you have Pretty Woman, you have Shaw's play, Pygmalion, and of course, My Fair Lady. You have this idea that the girl has to do something that's dumpy to make herself worthwhile in society and becomes beautiful. This fits into the teen scenario. It fits into not just magical teen movies, but just any teen movies. You see it a lot. Okay, even segments, even things like Mean Girls. More recently, Mean Girls has it. Legally Blonde has it in a different way. Cinderella, Princess Diaries. You see it as pieces in stories or as the full story, like the Pygmalion play. So that's what we're looking at. This is a typical teen movie about a teenager who doesn't fit in, trying to figure out how to fit in. You add in the supernatural element when there's a girl, and all of a sudden you get a witch film, because finding your power is always allegorically linked to witchcraft. Or backwards. Did I say that backwards? Witchcraft is always allegorically linked to a girl finding her power at the age of what? 16.
You will get your powers
at 16. This element of a girl finding her power at 16 is a fairy tale trope. It's in Sabrina. It's in so many witchcraft films. And that gets me to the last one, which is witchcraft, the representation of witchcraft here. This film has so many Easter eggs and so many things pulled in to give nods to witchcraft, right? So first we have the Salem connection. Courtney, hold your ears. And they don't even say, I don't think they actually say Salem. They just say 1692 and witches sailed the ocean blue or something like that. And when they were reading, they have, of course, you have the poltergeist, you have the bewitched connection, you have all these little things. I'm looking to see if I have any others. So you have all these nods. But what happens here, if you look at this film between Carrie, okay, one of our first really good teenage magical paranormal films from the 70s, where the girl couldn't fit in. She found out at a certain age she had magical powers. Now what does she do with the cheerleaders and all this stuff? That's a different movie with a different ending for the girl who has powers. Then let's fast forward to The Craft. Here's a girls that are finding they have powers in their high school years. What happens there with those girls? Or Sabrina in the 90s. Very, very different. So this rests in between, where you don't have a horror movie where the girl dies because she has power and has realized, and she won't accept a real role. And you don't have the acceptance of the weirdos, and we have power, but as long as we use them, we're going to be okay. Here we have the Bell Book and Candle scenario. I have powers. This is really cool. Let me get what I want. Okay, but now that I got what I want, love is more important. I'm going to get rid of my powers and keep love. This is the Bell Book and Candle conservative. I married a witch. You get powers for a while, have some fun with them, and then if you really want love and a real life, you have to get rid of your powers. That's what we're dealing with here. That's the theme of witchcraft here in the 80s. And that's the satanic panic bleeding into it. You can't keep magic. It's fun for a while. Ha, ha, ha. Magic. Ha, ha, ha. Made me look pretty. A la Witches of Eastwick. It made my hair really, really big. And now we're going to get rid of it, because in order to have love, true love, and people really like you, you can't be magical.
True love.
True love. So that's the theme of this, in this particular thing surrounding witchcraft for the girl. So there's a definite link to the story of telling us what we can do, what a teen girl can do as she gets her power. So and I discuss this in my book a lot. But I think the only thing I want to add here is that you'll notice that this movie is spiced with all kinds of references. And it's got, as I said, it's got the Carrie, the ending with the witchcraft and the prom type thing. You got the Carrie. You have a little Wonder Woman when she's spinning around. These are things people would have noticed at the time. I certainly would have. you got Bell Book and Candle, as I said, you've got Sabrina, you've got Salem, you've got Pygmalion. You give us so much stuff just being thrown into this story. And then, of course, you have a main character, the guy that is a wannabe Tom Cruise, who was really big, popular at the time. So you've got all kinds of things being thrown in this to the 80s audience, and they all would have picked up on it. And obviously not enough to make this movie any cash in the end. That's
I
my
can't
story.
imagine why no one wanted to watch this film. I have no clue. But I will say, before we go too much on the film, I want to say about, you mentioned, Heather, about the need, the desire to sort of fit in and change your world, especially as an adolescent or a teenager in the 80s, especially.
Mhm.
I remember in about 1980, 88, 89, I lived in the country. I lived a mile from town in the woods, and I wanted to be the 80s everything. I wanted pinks and blues, and I did my hair with a thing, and I wanted, I remember when I got my new clothes for the start of the school year, because that was what you do. You get a bunch of new clothes before school. And I had decided that I was going to carry a skateboard so that I could be cool. I lived in the country. I didn't even know how to ride a skateboard. I still don't know how to ride a skateboard. Also, as an adult, I really hate skateboards. In the city, clackety clack, clackety clack, clackety clack. It's enough to drive me crazy. Okay, now let's get actually back into the movie. Who wants to talk a little bit about this movie? Miss Courtney Buckley.
Me, I did. Get
Courtney loved it.
buckle
Courtney,
up.
every second of it. In fact, that's why she's wearing these cool 80s glasses.
Uh-huh.
So let me set the stage for you. I was in my living room. I put it on the big screen. I got rid of all distractions, and when I looked it up online, I was biased immediately because I saw when the movie was made. I knew it was going to be a rough time for me. I put it on. I thought, you know what? Let me give it a chance. And then the opening credit scene was for no reason at all, like some weird, like pretend music video. I don't know what. And I was like, cool. I knew it. I knew this was going to be it. And then it kept going. And then for some reason it was a musical.
Not really.
But
Top
why
that.
were they
Top this. Top
right?
that.
And then like, I like boys. I like boys. Like, please stop singing about it. And I don't understand why that was
So
happening.
bad. So bad.
It was like I just, but here's the thing. The kicker of all of this is that I thought that Louise in this type of movie, in this era of movies, I thought Louise was finally a main character that I actually liked. So surprise, I liked this movie. Even though it was stupid and terrible, I don't care. I may have been made in the 80s, but I grew up in the 90s. She's All That had a chokehold on me. I love a teen glow-up movie. I love it. Can't get enough of it. And if you throw in witchcraft, and you know what? She was not even, like, she wasn't, every other movie that we watched, they're all like snotty and ridiculous and like whiny and whatever else. She seemed like a nice girl, and she was real, and it was like, whatever. And the fact that she was like, wow, I have magic powers, and then did not pass go, did not collect $200, went directly to a voodoo doll. I was like, girl, I hear you. So, you know
a
what?
little wind and then straight to a voodoo doll.
She was like, wow, am I a witch? Let me try this. Wind. Wow. Let me make it rain a little bit. Cool. Voodoo doll immediately. Like, let me attack my enemies in the morning because I cannot wait. So I like that. I liked her, and I liked this movie. I enjoyed it a lot.
And you especially loved the music.
That
Top
was
this. Top that. Top this. We like boys. We like boys.
Honestly, the first rap battle, whatever was happening, I was like, this isn't real. Like this, I'm hallucinating this. But then when that character, that crazy man character and his like two little cronies on either side of him, when everything that they said became that. Like they were just so funky and like whatever. You know what? I got into it. I liked it. I liked that part.
Courtney, I saw where that part was actually an afterthought. It wasn't in the original movie. After the movie was completed, they put it in. And one of the people associated with the movie also made up the words for the supposed the rap battle. And that was around the time when rap was getting really popular. So I think they threw that in to try and help the movie.
I'm going to make it my ringtone.
To really get that urban vote.
I like boys. You're not going to make that your ringtone?
No, because if you can't tell by my sunglasses, like everybody, so that feels disingenuous. But the rap battle can be my ringtone. Because I'm funky. That's I get down with the street battles in the middle of nowhere. So
it was a very strange street battle, but you know what I think got me was the supposed celebrity that clearly only the people in this town have ever heard of. Mm-hmm. And she's going to give me my jacket, give me her jacket, and I want to be just like her. Well, you have to get an article of her clothing. Like she goes on this stage and without even questioning, like, oh, I know you, everything is great, let me give you my jacket. I thought,
because magic
or I don't know, crazy pills.
Nope, it was magic. She was such a powerful witch. Because you know why? Because she, like me, went directly to the hex. It just feeds and fuels the power. That's why I have to be careful what I say out loud, because I accidentally make things happen. Because I hex, and not tonight. I know everybody's shocked in the comments, but not tonight.
Speaking is spelling.
They say that she said when she was reading the book, you have to be careful what you say. You have to phrase your spells properly. At least they got that right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know what? Someone commented, and I do want to say that this. Let me see if I can find. Oh, Mary Jane King said, and they had a photo album of the witches from 1692. I just had to like disassociate during that because I saw the 1692. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna let this ruin this for me. Because
meanwhile, the earliest photograph is 1849.
Oh,
around in there. So 1692 to 1490. I mean, 1692 to 1849 is a long time, but they had pictures.
Yep, magic. It was a magic book. They probably got them later. I don't know what, but either way, the yearbook of witches was. I would like one.
Their Latin was a little lacking as well. Everything was just something ended in And I think the best spell on there was from the brother, from the I am rubber and you are glue spell.
I still say that.
I love I love what was her name in this? Hold on a second. I can't remember what she was called in this one. Zelda's character, Madame Serena. I there's something about whatever the rest of the movie is. I loved watching her in this. I think it's hysterical when she's making that frog, and you know exactly why she's making that frog, and that just made me laugh. But my favorite moment in almost not in every movie, but in this movie, and just I remember clearly from this movie, I always remember, is the very last scene where they're together. She is very upset. She runs into Madame Serena's house and she needs to talk to her. And Madame Serena's talking to her. She goes and she sits down. She's talking to her. And she says, well, come here. And she says, sit on my lap. And Louise goes to sit down. And there's this moment was very real. I think it wasn't supposed to happen like that. It actually was real. This was a real moment. Louise sits down. They realize this is just not proportionally working here. And they both look and laugh. And then they switch places. That is one, you don't get those kind of very, very real, genuine moments in movies. And you can see the realness in it. And I love that moment. I just love it. And watching her and some of the stuff, it's not the performance of Poltergeist, which is a brilliant performance, but she's just so delightful to watch. And she does this, and supposedly she was actually really psychic, although she was not a practicing psychic and medium, although some people have claimed she was. I can't find I went digging to find real information, but they do say she was actually had some psychic ability. You know, I don't know how much of that is true or not, but people claim that. I don't know. But she does such a lovely job with this character. I think of all of theirs. And I think Louise's Robyn Lively does a nice job. I think there's some little acting gems in here inside the rest of the mess that this movie is. But there is, I just love that moment. I love that moment.
I agree. And you know, I did not enjoy this film, but I did enjoy the cast. And there were moments that I could absolutely appreciate, all of it. And Louise was kind and she was good. I did like the when she was wishing her friend well on stage and she said, break a leg. I don't remember the name of the girl, but break a leg. And then she falls and breaks her leg. And then instantly everyone turns to her like, you did this. Are you kidding? How many times as a theater kid, did we say, break a leg, break a leg, break a leg? And sometimes people actually did. Come on. You know, it was like, how many other people must have in that course wished her to break a leg too? Mm-hmm. So instantly, oh, it's you. You're the baddie. Come on. Come on.
Oh, she did it too, because she was like, oh, I didn't mean to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this movie had a lot of plot holes and a lot of random. Watch those glasses. I'm not saying it's horrible.
Oh, I was just adjusting.
It has a lot. It has a lot of plot holes. It has a lot of things that I think there are places it could have gotten better. I think it could have gotten. I'm not saying it's bad. You have not seen my wand yet. I have not given away. But for me personally, I enjoy watching this movie not only because of Zelda and some of the performances, but because I was her age at that time and watching it now, and I don't remember seeing it back then. But watching this movie now, I have so much fun because they got everything right because for the 80s, because it was filmed in the 80s. But there's only one thing. There's one problem I have. Nobody danced like that in the 80s. In those two dances, nobody danced like that. They did not do the 80s slow dance, the zombie 80s slow dance. They did not do proper dancing. They did dirty dancing, and that movie had just come out and was popular at the time. So maybe that's why they added that in. But there's a few quips I have, but the clothing, I'm like, I think I had that skirt. And oh my God, my friend, literally, yes. Oh my God, those pumps. I had those pumps. I loved watching it. I think the movie could have been better if they had the money and they had licensed real music, really pull in Madonna, Prince, some of the really pop music at the time. If they had just kind of changed a few things up and kind of cleaned it up and tightened it, I think it could have been even better and much stronger movie. But it's fun to watch now. I literally was listening to 80s music after I was done and dancing around the kitchen while I was making dinner. I can't help myself.
There's a point that the house that she walked into at the start of the movie was used by Michael Jackson and his 1983 music video Thriller.
Oh,
wow!
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. Tyler, what did you think? I want to know. Do I need glasses or not? I'm judging everyone harshly right now.
Yes.
I loved it for all of the 1980s reasons. But the movie was the music was a little lackluster. A lot of it was made up. I'm big on music and soundtracks, and this definitely, left much to be desired. And from a witch's standpoint, the spells not really being as good as maybe they could have. But then again, it's pretty much fantasy, and they're just making things up as they go along anyway. So the thing I didn't appreciate too much about it was the fact that she that the man that the football player that she was going after already had a girlfriend, and she was actually trying to take her boyfriend. So
and
that's
to
a
be
little
fair, I didn't mean to interrupt, but to be fair, I mean, to your point, the cheerleader wasn't even the nasty stereotypical cheerleader. There was a point where she was like, she's fine, get in the car. But she would still talk to her in the halls. Hey, my cousin is in town. Why don't you come to the date with it? Why don't you come to the dance with him as a date? If you're not going, like, she's not the stereotypical meanie. So you kind of feel badly that there's no reason to hate her.
Yeah, I think they may have been off a little bit on the representations of the actual people who were living at the time, because like even with the nerdy guy who takes her out, I have never known not one nerdy guy who would have even acted like that. Most of them are really quiet.
He was embarrassed by the fact that she had a glow up. She was more glamorous and totally in style of the 80s. He was embarrassed by her.
Yeah, it was weird.
He was embarrassing, so
yeah,
that's probably why.
But and they definitely didn't go full Regina George with her, and they should have if they wanted that to happen to evoke that. But they also, the other weird thing about Brad, and you're not really excited at the end for her to be with him because he only started going out with her. She never finished the love spell. That spell never happened. She stopped halfway. And so the only reason that he started going out with her was because she became the most popular. And he dated the other girl because she was the most popular. So now she's like, well, I just want love, takes off her. She gives up her magic. And they have this discussion about authenticity and how she wants to be, he loves her authenticity, and she wants to be loved for who she is. And meanwhile, the only reason he liked her in the first place and whoever he dates is because he dates only the girl who's the most popular. And she, of course, she, just like the Witches of Eastwick, after she gives up her magic, she stays big hair and fabulous. And of course he stays with her. And I'm like,
and
I question that choice.
She's so kind and so good and so real and fabulous. And no, she is. She's so good. She's good and kind and fabulous. And she's 16. Mm-hmm. In 2 years, she's going to go away to college. In 2 years, he's going to be drafted to some football team, some pre-college thing. And then, of course, he's going to go to another state and date the most popular girl.
Yeah. We have questions about Brad.
Listen, they were both there for a good time, not a long time. And I was there for 1 hour and 40 minutes, and that was it. And then I left. Like, that was
well, if can you imagine if these are real people and this is a real town and this is really where it is? So they go off to college, and then now all of his best years are behind him. He ends up by being the manager of a Piggly Wiggly.
Obviously.
And she has given up her powers so that she can be the bank manager.
Well, I mean, did she give up? She gave up her powers, obviously, but like, it was the amulet was her power. She just put it back on. Okay, like,
I don't know.
She gave it
to Zelda to Madame Serena.
No, because they're not besties. They're not magical besties. She can't give it back.
She's not going to give it back. Are you?
She helped each other. All right. I'm leaving these glasses on. All of you are taking over my role here as movie hater, and I don't like it. And now everyone gets what they wanted, and you're all getting hexed because
Good.
you didn't like the movie.
Where's your hex go?
I did not. I have not voted yet.
It just felt like they were just trying to keep women where they were at the time, at home and having children. You can't be magical. You just have to do what I want you to do.
Someone read my book. Do you have quotes, Courtney?
Okay, so I actually do not, because I was so enthralled in the movie that I forgot to write anything down. And then when I looked it up online, there was none to choose from online, or no good ones. But in lieu of a quote, I have something else that everyone has been waiting for, which is this box. Now, this box mysteriously arrived on my doorstep, and I thought to myself, oops, did I, in the middle of the night, order books and not remember it? And I was scared. So I did peek inside it so I would have an idea. And then as soon as I saw what it was, I was like, oh, and then I stopped so I could open it all for you, for everyone in the chat, so that everyone can know what is in this box. And everyone's been waiting for it. So I didn't even open it all the way. This is my I didn't do my homework segment, because I feel like I did this with the Roomba also, but
I have a quick quote.
I didn't mind it.
I do have one quote. It was when she said, and I really liked it, when she said, I've been 16 4 times. And I thought that was funny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment. Oh, no, there's more. The moment that everybody has been waiting for, packaged so gently and with love, is not the imposter, Black Phillip, but the true handsome gentleman has returned with his spooky tie. And his butthole is no more. He does not have a butthole anymore. And somewhere in here, he has a heart. The Roomba did not order it. Heather Green repaired him and then sent him to me. And there he is. And the imposter is back there feeling jealous. And I don't care.
Oh, that was.
He misses you.
I love him very much, and I can feel all his love. And they're friends. Look at his eyeballs. He's like, oh, my friend. And then there's the imposter lurking in the background.
It is lurking in the background. It is. Look at him looking back there. That's
He's
so,
like,
wait a second.
I meant nothing to any of you. Obviously not.
That's so funny. He's back there with the two little goat heads hanging out of the farmhouse or whatever.
Oh, there's 4 little goat heads. So this is the goat house that Robyn Christine sent me for my birthday, and it says the goat house on it. And it has a brown goat and a Black Phillip and a white goat and a gray and black goat, and then it opens up and it's a goat house. And there's all their butts.
They're all hanging by their necks. That's very cute.
Bunch of goat butts.
So all the goat butts are in there.
Nice.
And Black Phillip is back where he belongs.
Yay!
So thank you, Heather.
You are welcome.
Speaking of Heather, I saw a beautiful photograph of Miss Heather from 1989. I think, can we share those pictures?
Oh.
Oh, that one. Okay.
I like the other. I like this one, but I like the other one.
I liked the other one.
That's not me.
This was me. This was me in about 1983.
That's so funny. You're so cute.
That was me in 1987. Do we have any other ones? I don't know.
Mine's cute.
Yours is cute. The one that he showed, they had up. I was on the subway heading to the village. It was that one right there. You can see them, and I'm actually in the subway car. And this is an Instagram photo, circa 1989. We were pretending we were modeling on the subway as we were riding down to downtown to the village on whichever train it was that we were on. So, and as it obviously it was winter. So, and I've got my Debbie Gibson hat on and my 80s curls.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Just beautiful. I would like to see the other one that was, if we can find it.
What
I don't
my
know.
senior picture? I sent my senior picture.
Ah,
Here it is.
that's me.
Courtney.
That
Courtney
was
in the
I
80s.
think, I think that was sometime in the 80s. I don't know when, but
So
I was
cute.
so cute.
Oh.
She had 80s hair, but 80s hair for a 1-year-old, 2-year-old.
Exactly. And a bangle, even a bangle.
So
I did.
cute.
I had that bangle for so long, and then it was like a ring when I grew up.
That's
It was so
awesome.
small. It was like literally this big. Not that you can see me, but
Adorable.
There we go.
yay! There it is.
Miss Heather had Louise's hair.
I did, and I had those bangs and everything. I had exactly her hair.
When you send that to the group chat, I actually screamed out loud because I was so excited because I was currently watching the movie.
And if they had for the movie, there's another picture from that segment where the bangs are down. For some reason, for that particular picture, my bangs like flipped up so you can't see them, but I have exactly her bangs. Exactly. So
That's great 80s hair. Great.
Yeah.
You looked like you were high on Aquanet.
I didn't actually use Aquanet, but yes, we probably from the school bathrooms. That and the deodorant in the school bathrooms. Oh my goodness.
A contact high.
Most certainly.
You know, my sister was 5 years older than I was, so she did the full, but she did she didn't do the fringe. She did the wings on the side.
Wings?
Like
Yeah.
that one. So that was my sister, and then of course she would wear her boots and her blue jean skirts, and she drove a truck, and she was so pretty. And then I felt like when I was riding in the same truck with my sister, oh well, people think she's pretty and cool, and that means that I'm pretty and cool too.
Guilt by association.
And my sister was very pretty, but she wasn't cool. She was not one of the. She was never one of the in crowd. She didn't want to be. It was by design. Actually, a funny story. Not so funny, considering, but funny looking back. She was runner-up for Miss Teen Missouri way back in about 1989, and she would have won, excepting for the fact that the judges came in and were acting inappropriately, and she said, "Don't you touch me." And she went out on stage and she went she was over it. So with that, we only have a few minutes left. Does anyone have that? What do we have here? Want to Feel Old? Bewitched premiered 60 years ago today. September 17th, 1964, and little Tabitha Me is 60 years old today.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the Bewitched the movie, so we can talk more about that in a few weeks when we do Bewitched the movie.
Exactly where my name came from.
It's a great name.
It is a good name. We have about 7 minutes. Is there anything else? Oh, I guess we should vote. We should vote. All right. One's up or one's down. I have my pen today because the pen is mightier, and I have my pen. I'm ready to vote. We have one's up, one's at a slight angle, and mine is nowhere to be seen.
I have fun watching this movie, even though it's terrible. So I have to give it a one's up just because I just always have fun watching it.
Yeah, it's not a good movie.
No, it's a terrible movie.
It's an enjoyable, fun watch.
Not every movie that's fun is a good movie, as we know.
Well, those are my favorites.
The cast though, was great. The cast was good. Rubinstein was her name.
Yes, Zelda Rubinstein.
Zelda, great. Darren Stevens, number 2, great. Louise, great.
I would just like everybody who does not have a wands up, and I will not name names, but I would just like you to know that imposter Black Phillip is also looking at you from the sidelines, and not just me and real Black Phillip. But that disapproving look from the background is for all of you.
And you can read Colin's notes here. He
Oh,
is
good.
wands up because he's afraid of being hexed.
Yep.
Tabitha,
Black
what
Phillip
did you
is
think
not looking at Colin. I mean, imposter Black
of the film,
Phillip.
Tabitha?
Excuse me?
What did you think of the film?
I liked it. I give it a wands up.
Good.
Well,
There you go.
nobody's perfect.
Richard Lale.
I mean, I give it a wands down for the soundtrack, but
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, it's an '80s movie, and
Oh, you mean
I
because you
certainly
can't top
appreciate
this, top that, top this.
Oh, well, an 80s movie could have had a good soundtrack. It's just a bad soundtrack, Tabitha. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. And with the again, I twisted the words on something in the film. The startup dance scene of the "I like boys" for some reason. I kept singing "I like girls."
Well,
Holy,
I'll sing both.
Yeah.
Then it will be a ringtone.
I
And
keep
also,
waiting
Alicia,
for, murder.
Alicia, how dare you not be afraid of the imposter Black Phillip? That's all.
Yeah, our
Next
host
week.
just said, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna. You could say it. It's you. You could say it.
Oh, it just popped up. Next week is Army of Darkness. I think
Army
that we're
of
doing this in
Darkness.
honor of one of our producers' birthdays. I believe
Yes.
is correct. So
Yes, we are. So Army of Darkness next week. You have your assignments. You have your homework. Next week, you're going to watch. We're going to watch Army of Darkness. You need to watch it in between so you know what we are talking about. Let's start. We only have 4 more minutes. Let's reintroduce Tabitha. How can we find you? Thank you for having us here. Thank you for being here. How can they find you?
Thank you for having me. I don't have anything coming up. And again, I am a medium and psychic. You can find me on Facebook for private readings.
Very good. Ms. Courtney Buckley.
That's me. I'm Courtney Buckley, Ghostbait on Scared and Alone. You can find me on all the socials at the Femes, short for Femur, which I will use as a weapon if I have to. And hopefully I survive the imposter back here. And well, that's it. That's all I got
He'll
going
be
on.
watching you while you sleep.
Well, I don't sleep in here, so.
Well, he's a goat. They climb. So
he's gonna ride the Roomba. Oh God.
Yes. Video.
Miss Heather Green, what do you have coming up?
well, really exciting. Next week, 1 week from tomorrow, I'll be on the show next week, and then I head off to Charlotte, North Carolina, to attend Charles Oz, which is a Wizard of Oz convention. I will be doing book signings. I'm going to be doing a lecture on the witches of the Wizard of Oz and how they've evolved and changed since 1900, since the beginning, and their connections to witchcraft and all kinds of good stuff. So I'll be doing that, and then I will be attending a Halloween event at a local Barnes & Noble here in Atlanta Metro. I'll have more on that coming up. So I will be doing, and who knows what else, just working with my fabulous authors every day. That's what I do. But you can find me on all the socials as well, Heather Green. And heathergreen.net is the website to help to find me and see all my links.
Very good. Thank you. And of course, I am Richard Lale. Richard Lale Lillard is who I am. Richard Lale is one name, not two. I am known as the Gentleman Psychic. You can find me at thegentlemanpsychic.com. You can also find me on Scared and Alone. You can find me on the school at universitymagicus.com, where I teach usually every Saturday morning. I teach a little bit of something. And also, don't forget, if you are going to Scotland, if you would like to go to Scotland, click that little link right up here somewhere, right there. We would love to have you. It's going to be 10 days in Scotland. It's a paranormal tour. So we're going to be going to some haunted locations. We're going to be doing some paranormal investigations. We're going to be going to the cemetery. And these are 5-star hotels that we'll be staying. So it is it is a dream of mine, and I would love to have you come along with me. With that, we have just about 20 seconds, and there is but only one thing that we do. One thing that I did not see any of the witches do in this week's film. However, witches are supposed to cackle. And so now, by the power invested in me, by the state of California and the lower 48, I now pronounce us cackle time.